Dan Anglin, CannAmerica Brands founder and CEO. Welcome on the Business Brief.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm glad to be here. Love your show.
Great to have you, Dan. With 420 upon us, many people will be celebrating legalized cannabis. Your company, CannAmerica Brands, now public and dual listed on the CSE and OTC, has been operating since 2015, known for your line of edibles. Give us an update on the industry as well as your company. As I understand, you're focused on mergers and acquisitions these days.
That's correct, Ryan. So, the cannabis industry is growing tremendously across the nation. Markets like Colorado are considered very mature, which means that there are a lot of operators and a lot of brands, which means a lot of consumer choice in products, whether that be flower products, vaporization products, edible products, beverages, topicals, you name it. There are a lot of products out there for consumers to choose from. So as the momentum of positivity towards legalization federally continues to grow, every year 420 is really a celebration of when Colorado and Washington did it together back in 2012 and started in 2014 with legalized sales. So Oklahoma is likely to go recreational this year. Many other states are considering expansion of their cannabis programs. So we continue to be excited about what's happening in all the states, but also with the federal, in Congress with the MORE Act, safe banking, research. There's a number of different accomplishments that are really increasing the freedom of adults and patients for access to cannabis for many different reasons.
With the choices that so many consumers have, Dan, you mentioned that as a big part of the industry as it expands. Why do you think the emphasis on mergers and acquisitions is a very important strategy?
Well, that's a very good question. We've had a rough couple of years as a nation and as a world. And I think that what many good operators have found is that in order to stay competitive, they have to really consider consumer affordability and expansion of their menu offerings. And most of the time, small cannabis operators who are good at what they do don't have access to capital because of the lack of banking. And so companies like mine are really focused on these smaller operators who may be excellent and experienced cannabis growers, processors, retailers. They just really need a good partnership with somebody that has access to resources like my company does. And of course, this makes it much easier for us to expand our footprint across the nation by creating partnerships through mergers and acquisitions with some of these smaller companies in these other markets. We're currently mid-transaction with an operator here in Colorado. We have targeted an opportunity in Nevada. We're making an offer in Oklahoma. We've got a partner in Massachusetts, partner in Canada. And we continue to focus on areas in the United States where consumers have the greatest access to a cannabis program and multiple types of products. Colorado is really the standard for not only consumers, but also the industry of what we can do through our knowledge of science and our knowledge of the plant. And as this continues to just move forward, our knowledge of marketing and consumer trends and policies, right?
Right. I'll tell you, just about every industry, doesn't matter what industry, we're seeing an acceleration of mergers and acquisitions. So fascinating to hear what you are seeing, what you all are dealing with and experiencing in your industry. Dan, let's talk the effects of inflation. Gas prices are up, food prices are up, I heard eggs are going up. It seems everything just costs more these days. You've mentioned to me that projected sales for many in the industry are down for this time of year. Retailers, manufacturers, cultivators, transporters, delivery folks are all feeling it. How are operators managing through higher prices? And then importantly, what should customers expect?
So sales compared to 2021 are up, and 2021 sales were up from 2020, but we are still not back to 2019 pre-COVID type sales. And I think those are the projections that almost everybody in any industry is looking at as a harsh reality of what does it mean to try either to recover or expand in 2022. And for consumers, the unfortunate part is inflation is now 8.5%, just announced this morning. Gas is up, not as much in Colorado as some other states, but food is up, everything is up. And unfortunately, what that means for manufacturers like us is our shipping costs have increased actually fivefold. Our supply chain continues to be, I guess, difficult for access to varying types of supplies like packaging, hardware, ingredients. And this is not yet hitting the consumers in cannabis. I think we all understand that consumers are looking for quality and affordability. But if these rates keep rising for receiving things like packaging and cartridges, and the delivery costs of taking our products from our manufacturing warehouse and delivering them to retail, one of the choices we made was to go in-house. We felt it was better to have a member of our team represent our brand when we drop off our products in the retail space. We continue as an industry to really try to achieve that affordability that consumers demand. But, as time marches on, it's becoming more and more difficult for everybody. It doesn't matter what industry it is.
I can't help but think of that song by the artist The Weeknd, where he says, "I feel it coming." I think kind of what I'm hearing from you, Dan, is for customers of legal cannabis in Colorado, perhaps across the country, that it's very possible that those rising costs that many of the manufacturers and others in your industry, just like every other industry, are having to bear, will ultimately have to be felt by those customers. In other words, they should probably expect that the prices for the legal cannabis products that they use or consume will likely rise, because it has to, in order for producers and manufacturers like yourself to continue to operate and to maintain some level of profitability. So let's move on. Dan, you noted to me that your company, CannAmerica Brands, and the cannabis industry in general are expecting 420 to be yet another, as you call it, celebration of freedom of cannabis legalization, both here and across the nation. Can you expand on that, as well as provide your industry outlook for the rest of 2022?
Certainly. So, 420 has become synonymous with our industry and the products that we create. And there are festivals, there are events. I think the last couple of years has been muted. And, we hope that the weather cooperates here in Colorado and other places so that people can get out and celebrate their freedom to be able to have access to cannabis in places like Colorado, Oklahoma, Nevada. For the industry, I think what we're seeing is April growth has already started to really trend up towards those sales that we projected in March. So I honestly believe that springtime moving into summer is the perfect time for a celebration of cannabis, especially here in Colorado. And, many folks in the industry, instead of just focusing on affordability and how to make their products more affordable, are doing things like we are to create a better type of product that the consumers not only can really count on for that efficacy and that safety, it's just something that really inspires them to break out their wallet and do the spending that maybe they're a little bit concerned to do right now in every area, not just cannabis. So I think what we're going to see is a great concert season. Colorado is a destination place for many different reasons, especially concerts in the summer. And, we really have a lot of, I guess, projections of great sales, but also great attitudes as everybody gets out of their house, goes back to work, gets out into the park, wherever they're going, and enjoys all the great things that Colorado has to offer, including our cannabis industry. So I think
overall positive outlook for the year.
I would say we're positive. We've been through, as a planet, we've been through a tough couple of years. I think most people would really like to be able to return to normalcy. And here in Colorado, cannabis is part of that for adults.
As I say, that new normal, whatever that means. Dan Anglin with CannAmerica Brands, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ryan.
Great to have you.